Associations may be disorganized, and time and space relationships are lost.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to the Hippie Speedball Podcast. Welcome back to the video and welcome back to YouTube. If this is your first time on YouTube, hit that subscribe button down there and also check us out on all the different listening platforms. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, make sure you give us a nice, good rating and let us know what you think. Today, I got a really awesome guest. I'm really fucking excited, and we're going to talk a little bit about fitness, and we got some other cool shit that we're going to be doing. So please welcome to the studio, Arthur Dickson Jr. Thanks for fucking coming by,
Hey, man, this is definitely different than what I'm used to, but this is cool right here, man.
Yeah, welcome, man. I know when you walked in, you were a little tripped out about it, so
Hell
you were
yeah.
like, what the fuck?
It's a little more advanced, man, but this is cool, man.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
enjoy it.
Well, dude, I really appreciate you reaching out to me to come on the show, man, because like when you told me what you were doing, you were like, hey, this is what I'm doing. And I'm like, dude, this sounds fucking dope. So so for the people that don't know, what you do is you run a fitness company, and you were helping with athletes in the first, and then you started transitioning more into kind of citizens and more just kind of regular, people.
Yeah.
And so tell me how that started and how did that kind of transition into what it is now?
Oh, man. So it's been built for like 4 years. It started with like youth, man, because growing up, man, I started refereeing and all different types of shit since I was a kid. So
you were pretty athletic when you were growing up?
Yeah, man. So my childhood, I was a 3-sport athlete most of my life. My
Nice.
parents, and I'm the youngest of 6 siblings, 5 brothers, 1 sister, and they're all athletes. My dad was a Portland State Viking. He has a
Nice.
legend there.
What's his name?
Arthur Dickson
Arthur Lee.
Jr.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
And then my mom was a 3-sport athlete as well, and she ended up playing like professional football for women.
What?
Yeah, so
that's fucking awesome.
I come from a very like athletic family. My sister was dominant all through high school as well, but she had a kid young, so she couldn't really pursue the sports things.
Okay.
But like all my brothers went to college, play sports, play football mainly. And so that's kind of like the foundation. And I think that's where the Dickson Dynasty aspect comes from it, because we're a dynasty of athletes.
Great name, by the way. Dickson Dynasty.
Yeah.
Amazing name.
And, me and my brother battle with it a lot because he's like, I came up with that name first. So it's always a
You're
always
like,
a
well,
joke.
I'm using it.
Yeah, and so I always say that, man, I'm using it. I've built it to a company, man, and it's not like you can't be a part of the company. So it's a part of your name. So my foundation comes from the aspect of just family sports. And I started the business about 4 years ago, like I said, man. I was working with kids in the park, man. Like I started with 2 kids, and one kid wanted to play high school basketball. He was not a basketball player at all, and he was a football player, just a young little kid, middle school kid. The other kid was a hooper. Everyone knew he was a hooper. And no, he was going to hoop. And so we just worked out every day in the summer, 2 to 3 times a week. Man, I put him on a contract, everything. This was before I even started the business aspect of it. I started out. I knew what I wanted to do with it.
Kind of more acting as like a trainer.
Yeah,
aspect.
and so I was training him. I got equipment from a camp that I used to run. One of the dudes donated me a whole bunch of equipment, from cones to ladders.
Hell yeah.
All different types of stuff. And so I started with that. And I trained them every day, man. And the kid made the freshman team. The kid who was a football player made the freshman team, and he praised me for it. He thanked me for it. And I was like, man, I could do this.
Hell yeah.
And during that summer, it went from just those 2 kids to a sports team program that came out and was like, yo, you do this? I didn't know you did this. And I was like, yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah,
I
and
do
so,
now.
and I've been coaching for a long time, and I think I started coaching when I was like 17, 18 years old, and I was still in college. And people don't understand, but I used to go from college to practice. And I was a fresh 18 when I was coaching high school football. And I thought I was crazy at the time. I was like, man, I could do this. This is good. But looking back at it, I was like, I was batshit crazy because I had no time. Man, high school football takes away everything.
Oh,
man,
yeah. It's a big deal for sure. Like, there's a lot more involved in it than people think.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't play myself, but I got asked to play a lot. And I always knew that there was, like, way more, especially in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Milwaukee, like, they didn't fuck around when it came to the football. Like, for sure. They had that real small town feel when it came to football. But, sorry, go ahead and continue.
Nah, man. And it's crazy because at 18, 19, I knew a lot of the kids that were still in high school playing. So I felt awkward in that moment.
I know, right? Trying to tell them what to do. They're like, dude, I was just playing with you a few months ago.
Talking about the girls. I was like, man, I know them. Like, what do you, like, this is awkward. Like, and so I never realized like how young I really started to get into sports and gravitate to sports and the coaching aspect of sports, like people usually start later, man. I started early.
Yeah, like right after high school. And you went from player to coach.
Instantly.
Yeah.
And that mantra, man, for me is it not only helped me get better in sports, but it also helped me teach kids how to get better in sports while I'm still going through it, you know. And then after that, I started running track in college, so it was like.
Where'd you go to college?
So I went to a few different colleges. You know, I started out at Clackamas Community College. That's all I know about.
No, of course. Yeah, exactly. So, shout out to CCC.
Yeah, for sure. So I walked on there because I didn't really want to go to college out of high school because I didn't get into the colleges that I wanted to go to, and that was Washington State and Southern Oregon, and there was like one other school that Virginia Tech, but I didn't have the grade point average to get into Virginia Tech. But those are the schools I really wanted to go to school at, and so I didn't get in. I was like, man, fuck college. I'm not going. And so I started working, at this telephone company. And I looked around, and everyone around me is 35, 40 years old. I've been there for 15, 20 years. And I'm like, oh, hell no. I can't. Oh, hell to the no. I cannot do this. I was like, I'm going to school. And so I literally enrolled in January. And I seen people in the gym, and they were a part of the track team. I was like, shoot, how can I do this? I had talked to the head coach. He's like, you got to come out next year. I was like, yep, I'll be ready. Came out the following year, walked on, and I basically earned my scholarship. And from there, it was kind of like, well, maybe this is what I can do. And so I ran there for 2 years after that. And, you know, they have a junior college, like, nationals and stuff. And, you know, where they are in WAX, it's weird because it's like, I think it's like 8 or 9 different schools for NWAC for Clackamas, and you know I finished in the top every year, and so it was like I would go down and compete at the University of Oregon's, and we would go compete at Washington State or UW Dempsey Indoors, and so a lot of these major meets, and so you know you're seeing Ashton Eden, you're seeing all these, you know Jordan Latz and all these like major people that you're competing against. And, you know, I built a lot of friendships through there. There's a lot of people that I seen at some of these D1 institutions that I was like, man, I was just competing with you in high school. And we were like neck and neck together. Like, man, like, hold up. This is weird to me.
That's
like,
crazy.
And so the mentality kind of drove from there when it comes to sports in my life. Once I walked on and seen, you know, all the different people that I was competing against and people that I knew, I was like, hold up, man, this is what I could do. Like, this is really where it became motivating for me. So after leaving Clackamas, I went to a school in a small NAIA school in Kentucky, man. It was the bumfuck nowhere, Kentucky. And absolutely, like, you know, the experience was amazing for me just to get away. And it really taught me in that process of, like, I can be on my own and be fine.
Yeah.
And
but with that transition from West Coast to Kentucky,
oh, man.
It probably was a little rough.
Man, the education, man, is way behind out there. And
that's what I hear.
It's crazy because we were over
no disrespect to Kentucky or anybody out that way.
Man, no. There's no disrespect, but it's just crazy, the dynamics. Like, I went in, I'm in a college class, and we're talking about William Shakespeare. And I'm like, yo, I did this in middle school and high school. Like,
I know, right?
We
were reading Macbeth freshman year.
Man, you know what I'm saying? And so, and they're talking about different things, and it's crazy because I had a debate with one of the professors in the middle of class. And if you don't really know me, I'm going to speak my mind. And I'm going to speak my mind, period. All the time, you ask me a question.
Yeah.
And if I feel like something that I don't agree with, I'm going to speak on it. And we're sitting in the middle of class, and we're talking about the Constitution in class. It's a history class. And he's like, this is the greatest document ever created. And I said, wait, pause. Hold up. Wait, hold that statement. I said, because during that time of the Constitution, I wasn't a free man. So how is this created the best document ever created?
Exactly.
And I wasn't a free man. As a man today, this isn't the greatest Constitution. This ain't the greatest Constitution.
How are you going to say
created.
that all men are created equal if at the time they weren't looked at as created equal?
Man, and so we go into this debate about it in the middle of class, and it probably takes 15, 20 minutes of the class. And at the end of the class, I had 4 or 5 people that were like, man, thank you. Like, I would have never seen that or understood of that unless someone came and spoke to me about it. And so from there, it kind of changed my perspective about the school as a whole. And so it kind of, that was even before really running the track aspect of it, because that's why I went there. But in that process, man, it helped me grow so much on like being able to speak on myself and speak on things that I needed to
and
speak
seeing
on.
those different perspectives and being able to educate people, because like when you put yourself, like me and Patience were talking about on this last episode, you put yourself in a bubble and you can lock yourself in an echo chamber, and it takes somebody from the outside to come in and be like, no, hold up. Like this, no. Yeah, for sure.
And that's a real statement, man. And it's crazy, like, because you don't really understand where people come from until they begin to speak on it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge part where we have to understand that.
Exactly. That's why communication is so important. That's why in long form communication, being able to sit there and actually have a conversation and not, yelling at each other through comments or tweets or whatever the hell it is. Or, we're talking shit about someone on social media instead of just going and talk to that person.
Man.
I'm the type of person, like, if I have an issue with someone, I will literally go straight to that person. I mean, at the point where, like, I had an issue with somebody that lives close to me and I needed to talk to them. So what did? I walked straight to their fucking house, knocked on their door, and as I'm leaving, like, my girl's like, babe, and I'm like, no, it's fine. It's fine. I just need to talk to him. That's all. I'm not a fighter. I'm not an aggressive person. But if it, like, problems are like a cancer. If you don't cut it out quick enough, it's gonna fucking kill you. So you need to cut it out. Like, it needs to be done and taken care of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, communication, man. It goes a long way, man.
Exactly. And being able to sit there and talk to somebody is so important. And I'm hoping that more people are seeing how important it actually is, because we got to a point where people didn't want it. Now we're at the point where we need it. Like, it's like we need to have a conversation. We need to be able to talk and everything. So you were at Kentucky running track, and then what happened after that?
So I was going to finish in that process, like, and for me, the green light hit because I had worked to get there. And so I began to start doing 3 days. And while I was there, man, and it put me in the best shape of my life because I had nothing else to do. So I was in the morning, I was going to swim. I would go swim in the morning before the swim team would get in there. I would go swim, go do a pool workout. I would get out and go home and shower, change, and go to class. After that, then I would go to the track and do my track workout. I did that every day, even through the season. And
so basically, you were doing 2/3 of a triathlon every single day.
Yeah, basically. And I was in the best shape of my life. And I look back on it and I'm like, damn, why couldn't I continue that? And
that's crazy, man.
And like the best shape of my life. And I strive and tell people that, man, because it's important.
Yeah.
Like, especially when you have a goal and something that you want to achieve, man, it's very important.
Exactly.
So I was in the top of my class. I was in the top when it came to track on the East Coast, and I was going to compete at University of Indiana. I was going to compete at DePaul and some of these major institutions, and competing with a lot of D1 athletes again. And a lot of them I didn't know, but again, it was for me. It was my resurrection to be like, man, I could really, really do this. And so after I left there, I didn't really have a good year. I ended up breaking my hand doing stupid stuff because me and the head coach didn't get along, so I didn't care. So I was like, man, I don't even care about this dude.
Like, fuck him. I'm going to do what I want.
Yeah, so I started doing what I want, was dumb, longboarded.
We all go through those phases.
Down a hill, broke my hand.
Oh, shit.
Track season for me was over after that. And so, he was like, this is when I knew that he did not care about me. He said, man, we can just tape it up and you can keep jumping. And I said, if I keep jumping and don't get surgery, I won't be able to use my thumb. I said, what's more important? And I was like, using my thumb or competing?
Yeah, exactly.
And, and I was like, yeah, I can compete 1 or 2 times, but once I get surgery, I'm going to have pins put in my thumb. I'm not jumping anymore. Yeah. Like, I'm not doing it. And so from there, I knew, like, I wasn't important to him on the team. And so I was like, you know what? That's fine. I went and got surgery, had 4 pins put in my thumb, which was an awkward feeling, by the way.
Oh, I could imagine.
Because they, like, straighten your hand out and then put the 4 pins in. And Yeah, and so now
you're kind of like just like stuck like this for a while.
Yeah, you're stuck in a cast. They put you in a cast. They put the 4 pins and put you in a cast
forever. Everything's just really cool.
Yeah, or it's just really stiff, and it's crazy because I still was working. I had to still do stuff. I was working actually in the kitchen, which was pretty dope.
Nice.
We'll get back to that later
for sure. Definitely, we definitely will talk about some food and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And so then I came back home. I was like, man, I'm leaving there. Forget it. I'm done with this place. I went home, and I was in a debacle in my head, man. I was like, man, do I want to finish out school? Yes. And I was like, where do I want to finish out school? And so at this point, I had to walk on any team, but I was like, man, I could do it. And I knew Oregon State didn't have a team, but I could not stand University of Oregon, which is crazy. All through high school, all through middle school, I was like, man, fuck U of O. Fuck U of O. I can't stand it. Can't stand it. Can't stand it. And then I thought about it. At the end of the day, I was like, you know, Oregon has a successful track program. They have a successful brand. If I have a degree there, it looks better than if I'm going to Western Oregon or some of these other smaller schools. I was like, fuck it, I'm going to go U of O.
Yeah.
And my cousin was going there at the time. So he was like, man, if you can get enough rent, man, or get enough money to pay for this apartment, man, we can do it. We'll move in. So, man, I worked 3 jobs that summer.
Damn.
I think I slept approximately the whole summer, probably like 20 hours or something.
Yeah.
Like, it was
over the course of 3 months. Yeah.
Man, it was stupid. Like my mom was like, man, you're going to kill yourself. Like, I was working so much, but I had nothing. I came back with nothing. I didn't have no money. I was away.
Yeah, you had to rebuild everything back up. So there's only one way to do that.
Yeah,
grind.
Man, I grinded. And, you know, I had enough money. I came in. I think I made enough to have 2 months of rent plus the down payment and all that. So,
Hell
you know,
yeah.
I moved down there, and I hadn't been working out the whole time because I was working 3 jobs. I didn't have time. So I was like, man, I want to try out. And so I kept emailing the head coach, and finally a response goes, tryouts for such and such a day, stop emailing me. And I was like, oh, yeah, cool.
It's awesome. Cool. That's all I needed, bud.
But I wasn't ready, and
Yeah.
I didn't know that, you know, and I didn't know that until I got there, and I'm competing. Again, I see a lot of my friends that I went to high school and competed against, and some of them that I went to college and competed against in college and junior college and stuff with. So I went over there and said hello. And plus, you know, I'm from Oregon, so we used to come down here.
Yeah, of course. You're locals, so.
So they're like, yo, you're not supposed to be over here. This is where the track team is. And I was like, oh, my bad. And this is during tryouts. And so all the kids that were trying out, everybody else trying out, we're over standing in one area, and you can just tell the other athletes are just watching us and laughing. You see it all over their face. They're stretching out and doing what they do. And I'm just like, man, I competed and beat you.
Right.
We went head to head, and I don't even know you, but I know you. You're slow. And
Yeah.
so I'm just talking shit. And so we do. So it's like a 400. Your trial was a 400, a 100, and then I was a long jumper, so long and triple jumper. So we had to do a broad jump into the sands, and I missed my 100 by 0.01 seconds. And if you don't know how fast that is, it's like a blink of an eye.
Yeah, that's
And so I missed it by 0.01. Yeah, 0.01 seconds. And so, and the craziest part about it is I was in jumping spikes. And if you don't know jumping spikes,
I know nothing about them.
they have a thick heel on them. So regular sprint spikes, they're just the spikes and they're flat. And they come up to the arch and they kind of put you on your toes. With jumping spikes, they want you to be flat. So there's a thick-ass heel on the back of them. So you have a heel and then your spikes. And so it's so that you can be flat on the ground when you land and you jump.
Okay. Oh,
I was
didn't know
sprinting. I
that.
was sprinting in those.
Fuck.
And they're also like hard.
Yeah.
So I'm sprinting in those. And so, like, you know, I look back on it, I'm like, yeah, there's a lot I could have changed. There's a lot I could have done. But my experience still at Oregon helped me shape who I am. So I didn't end up making it. And I think part of it also, I tell kids this all the time, man, you have to be coachable. And in my mentality, man, I didn't really have a coach growing up. And so I was stubborn.
Yeah, I was going to say, you knew everything already.
I was
so.
super stubborn. I did a lot of my own workouts. I was going crazy with what I was doing. I was making progress. I was doing good.
Yeah, I was going to say, you were successful doing your own thing. So you were like, why the fuck would I even listen to you? Because obviously what I'm doing is working.
Yeah, and so the head coach was like, yo, you should try and land like this. And I was like, man, I don't know how to do that. This is how I was taught. And he was like, all right, cool. And I knew I fucked up. And that moment, I knew. I said, oh, shit, and I can't even take it back.
Yeah.
Like, I can't even take it back in that moment. Like, you know, and now I look back on it, and I'm like, man, I could have been like, man, can you teach me? Or can you show me? Or something to kind of embrace the coach on that aspect. And I didn't realize that the head coach was also a long jump coach. And so it was kind of like, damn.
Fuck.
But, you know, and so at the end of the day, like, you know, I could have made the U of O team if I worked out and did some stuff different. But, you know, I take pride in where I landed. You know, I competed a lot against those guys. I competed a lot against the guys that graduated from there. And I beat a lot of them in the time, man. I competed at the top level. I went to your invites and your like your Dempsey's indoors where a lot of those guys were. Like, I competed at the top level, and I think when you understand track and field, once you get to college, it's professional. It's not like there's another level. Like 90% of those guys don't make it to run for Team Nike. Yeah. There's only like a select few, like your Ashton Edens, who's a 2-time Olympic, you know, 3-time, I think, Olympic, you know, decathlon, which is 10 events in 2 days. Like, yeah, think about that, man. You're doing long triple, hurdles, all these events, all these tough events, man, and it's crazy.
Making me feel very out of shape talking about
this.
And
it's crazy because I actually have a story about it. You know, I'm out there jumping long jump at the Matthew Twilight, and he just gets done running the hurdles. He gets done running the hurdles. He wins it, of course, and he comes over and long jumps, and the official's like, "All right, I need you guys to get out the way. He's about to jump," and I'm like, he just got done doing the fucking hurdles. What you mean? He just gonna push everybody out the way? Hold up.
Right.
He comes out and jumps like a 24 or something, which is 24 feet, like 5 inches or something. And, you know, everybody in the line, they're all jumping like 23s and 22s. And he comes out and jumps to 24 something after he just got done running the hurdles, like 110-meter hurdles.
That's
and you're like,
crazy.
And you're like, what the fuck? What? Huh?
He's a machine.
Like, and it was such a crazy experience, and that experience actually taught me, like, man, like hard work, but also like, man, I might not have it when it comes to that level.
So you started thinking of different options, kind of.
I mean, I wanted to chase it and see how far I could take it, but I could tell there's a different animal between him and me. Yeah, and there was no harm, no foul. Like, it helped me get through my experience and helped me get to where I needed to go. But
well, and it helped you opened up your eyes to other potential doorways because you like it kind of like instead of narrowing your vision to this way, you're kind of like, okay, well maybe,
let me recognize because you can tell he was an athlete. Like Mike Berry, Mike Berry, he went and ran Olympics as well. He was there too. He was a 400, 800 runner, super fast, super tall, super lean, like. You could just it's crazy when you could see athletes that are just so much further than the field that you're in.
It's impressive. Like it's really impressive. I mean, I didn't play like a lot of like I didn't play football in high school or anything like that, but I played when I was in middle school, and I used to live in a really like small ass country town in Minnesota called Foley, and like it was one of those like we used to train with the varsity team, like and we were only like in 7th grade, and they didn't fuck around with their football. But even then, I saw these kids that were so far ahead of me, even like, and they were like bigger than me, these giant farm corn-fed kids that were throwing me around, and I was this freaking kid from the city in Portland, and I was just like, this isn't for me, man. I'm getting fucked up. But yeah, dude, when you see those people that are at those levels, it's crazy. So it started kind of like opening up your perspective of different options, kind of. Or...
Yeah, and so after the U of O thing didn't really pan out completely, I just became a student, and I take pride on it because I never really was a student before that, and it really opened my eyes because throughout my years, I did school to run track. Yeah. And so you do just enough to get by just to keep running. Yeah. And, it wasn't like I was a dumb student or nothing. I was still pulling.
You would just rather be
5s, 3.0s. But I just did it to be able to be eligible for track. And the one thing about track is it's all year. Yeah. So, and I didn't know that, actually. Yeah. So you have it basically all year. So you start, technically you start when school starts in September, in college level at least. And that's when they start practicing because they practice for indoor season. Mm-hmm. And so indoor season starts in like November, December, right around the Christmas break and stuff, like you start an indoor season. Okay. And you come back and you finish indoor around March or February, and then you get to outdoor season right away. And it goes from one season to the other. And now if you're good, and this is what I tell people all the time, if you're good, man, you don't finish till middle of summer. Well, the middle of summer
is only a few weeks away from when you're training again.
You start back up. So track is year-round. Yeah. And especially for those that are high-caliber elite athletes, man, they're going all year. And that's why I say, like, man, like I feel like my lifestyle was track. Yeah. And it wasn't like I had a break. I didn't have a break. And so when I became a student, I finally had a break, and my body blessed me for it. Like for the last few weeks, like right as I stopped running, probably like a few weeks in, my body was like, thank you. And I could feel it.
Sorry, damn cat.
And I could feel it. Like the pulsing throughout my body, like my body was like thanking me because I mean, if
you're resting for the first time in practically your whole life.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because I've been pounding. I was a jumper, so I was long triple, high jump. You know, I did a few sprints and stuff here and there, but that was my main thing. And so I pounded on my body every day, 3 times a day, sometimes all day, and it just my body thanked me afterwards.
Yeah,
and from there, it actually taught me how to be a student. I was in the school. Actually had to relearn because I didn't know how to be a student, so I relearned again in college, which is crazy to think about. And I actually really love school, and I did love school before I took pursue of track. But the craziest part about it is track wasn't even my passion.
Yeah,
I mean, I was a football kid.
Yeah,
I was a football kid. I was a baseball kid. Actually, baseball was one of my first loves, which is also a spring sport.
Nice. What position did you play?
I was a third baseman and outfield.
Nice.
And so those were, you know, while I was young, I was a shortstop because I was quick. I had lateral movement. And just because, I was a 3-sport athlete. You know? And
well, you're also really lengthy too, so you can just like jet to those spots real quick. Yeah, for sure.
And so, but baseball is my first love, and it's crazy because my uncle still, you know, I have cousins who play in the league or were playing in the league, and they're always like, man, you should have kept playing baseball, man. You should have kept playing baseball. But it ended for me in high school where me and the head coach didn't get along. And I think looking at it now, being a coach, we see those things when you come to some students, and you see those things, like you get the frustrated aspect of kids, and but you have to figure out ways to talk to them, so that they can continue to pursue this, man. Like
you have to navigate their puberty that they're going through, and all their awkwardness and all the hormones that they're feeling. You gotta like recognize that when you're talking to them. I could imagine that would be tough, like especially being with like a stubborn athlete that's been like, you know, especially if you're like told you're so great your whole life, and you try to coach that person, they're like, "Fuck you, man." Like I could imagine like LeBron James or like those guys were probably impossible to fucking coach when they were younger, but or it could be the opposite. Maybe that's why they're so good, is because they were so easy to coach. So it could be the opposite.
But you have that, man. You have those kids that are just they've been told they're so good that sometimes you just give them the ball. And you're like, here, man, just you go do that. And some of them is good. Some of them is like, man, he only make it so far.
Yeah, exactly. And then, you know, it's more holistic when it comes to sports, you know, and when it comes to fitness, and it's very, I was actually going to mention this whenever you were saying how school helped your body heal. And it's because like mind, body, and soul are so connected, and you were resting your body and now improving your mind. And it helped, you know, freaking heal your soul and your body because of how you were feeling about not, you know, being able to go where you wanted to go. So what did you study in school?
So I actually... This is, and I always tell high school kids this, man. Transferring, man, it kills you. It definitely sets you back not only years, man. I end up graduating with 200-something credits, man. And if you know school, once you get to 185, man, you can graduate.
Yeah.
And I graduated with like 230-something credits, which is almost a master's degree.
That's
in
crazy.
Credits. Yeah, and it's all because of transferring. And
you just took all those extra classes.
Yeah, and so I ended up getting a social science degree, which I'm not mad about, in an undergraduate, and then a ethnic studies minor as well. So
nice.
But then I also have my associate's degree too as well. So you know, I walked away from school, which I still think about going back all the time. Pretty happy where I am. But there's definitely more I could have done. In that process, man, I started a few programs at University of Oregon that are still there, that are student recognized programs.
Nice.
Which for me was the icing on the cake, man. And you know, I was there when we had the big shutdown, the sit down, the sit-ins and stuff like that. I was there during all that process, and I was actually a part of the team that kind of put a lot of that stuff together.
Nice. Good for you, man.
And it's crazy that, you know, there's reasons why I didn't like U of O, and there's still reasons why I do not like U of O. And, but I'm proud to say I graduated from there, and I'm proud to say I graduated. But there's, you know, we don't talk about PWIs or predominantly white institutions where they sell the black face in the athletics aspect of things, but that school when I was there was 2% black.
Yeah.
And that included athletes,
It's fucking virtue signaling, and it's fucking irritating as shit. I hate when I see that stuff. It's like, because we know what's up. It's Oregon.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
it's fucking Oregon. Like, we know what's up.
Yeah, 100%. And it's crazy when you go to school and you're taking some of these classes and there's something that comes up when it comes to race and everyone turning to look at you. That's a weird feeling.
Yeah, I could imagine, man, for sure.
And I'm an outspoken person, so man, I used to raise my hand and ask a question, answer that question. Like, okay, yep, y'all want to hear my opinion? Yep. Yeah. And I always used to say, man, I can't speak for everyone, but I'll speak for myself.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, like, that experience also changed a lot because growing up for me in Portland, I grew up more in Southeast Portland.
Me too, actually. Where'd you grow up, man?
Right across the street from Woodstock Elementary School.
Oh, shit, I grew up in Rockwood on 181st and Burnside. Yep. Actually, I was the only white family in the neighborhood. What's up, Rockwood?
Yeah. So, I went to Woodstock Elementary School when I was young. It's actually a bilingual school, so it's a Chinese immersion bilingual school.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I learned Chinese from kindergarten to second grade.
What? Yeah, that's crazy,
and I only know a little bit still, which is crazy to me. But growing up around there, it was mixed. But when I moved to Milwaukee, it was predominantly white. So that experience for me actually taught me how to navigate through University of Oregon. But there's a lot of kids that look like me who ain't been in that neighborhood. Yeah. And they ain't never grew up in predominantly white neighborhoods. So that stuff is difficult.
Yeah. And Milwaukee has a really nasty history, unfortunately, when it comes to racism. A lot of people don't know that one of the largest skinhead gangs in the world started in Milwaukee. Yep. And if you go to the library, and I don't know if it's obviously not there anymore because the school is torn down, but back in the old library, they used to have an old dress code chart there. And it was like from like the 90s. And if you look at everything that was banned, it was all skinhead related stuff. Like, that's how bad the problem was. And I had friends, because I grew up in the punk scene, and we used to fight the fucking skinheads at the shows and shit, because they used to come and fucking try to fuck with things and just be assholes and try to act like they're the goddamn bouncers of the fucking show. And we used to have to kick them the fuck out. And a friend of mine got the shit beat out of him by like 6 different skinheads because he had a anti-swastika patch on his jacket, and they fucked him up and took his patch off his coat.
Wow.
Like, yeah, and he was hospitalized and shit. But Milwaukee has a nasty, nasty history when it comes to that sort of stuff. Man. And it's kind of hilarious to watch them act like it's like trying to sweep it under the rug with how like justice they're trying to be with things. And it's like, I know you want to change things, but come on, let's not deny the way it really is over here.
And it's crazy because you think about that school been around for like 130 years, so you already know the history and the foundation that it comes from. The whole state of Oregon itself has a history.
Yep.
And so,
that's what I was saying earlier. It's like, we're in Oregon. We know what's up.
Like, we know. Like, we absolutely know.
And for those people that don't know, Oregon actually, I think it's actually still technically like in like paper. I don't know if it's ever actually been like erased, but Oregon used to have a law that made it so only white people were allowed to purchase land.
I think it ended in 1976 or something.
That's
like that.
Fucking crazy.
And, yeah, you think about that, man.
We had decriminalized weed before then.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And
like, that is insane to think about.
And there's still places in Lake Oswego and Westland where they're in the deeds where it's like black people cannot live here. It's within the deed of the house. Yeah. So, and it's, Oregon has this huge history. Yeah. It's one of the most racist states on this side of the Mississippi, and people forget about that.
Yep. Especially with the way Portland is on the map right now, for being known as this really like liberal city and stuff like that. And it's just thank you. It's just like, get the fuck out of here, man. And it's irritating as shit, because it used to be like, me and Ash were talking about this, Ashley Martin, I had her on the podcast, and we were talking about like the shift from Portland and how it went from like all these like hippies and this kind of stoner kind of like artsy community to like this really politically charged, like, and they're trying to act like they're all this one thing when we really know all the locals are fucking seeing through all the bullshit. We see through it. We're like, get the fuck out of here, man.
And that's one thing I've always said about Oregon, man. It's the quiet races. Yeah. You have the loud ones, which I appreciate the loud ones, man. I must say.
At least we can say that they're pieces of shit, you know, and they're not.
And they'll tell you. When I was in Kentucky, there was literally like, an area where they were like, I went to the gas station and they were like, please do not cross this line and go over there. You don't want to. They won't allow you to go over there. So don't go over there. All right, perfect, thanks. At least I know. Yeah. Y'all can stay over there. I'm going to stay over here.
Because you could have not said anything. Yeah.
Man, yeah. And and I'd rather have that than, hi, thank you, welcome. And behind closed doors, you're not welcome.
Yeah.
Or I'm not going to allow you to do something that
exactly.
you want to do.
Or all of a sudden giving a shit just because Facebook and social media are telling you to now. And it makes me wonder. This is one thing I always wonder. This is why I hate the term woke. I fucking can't stand that term, because I'm wondering, if you're so woke, what kind of dreams did you have while you were sleeping?
Man.
Like, what the fuck? What were you doing? Like, why were you even asleep in the goddamn first place?
That's super deep.
You know, and it's like, and that's the way I look at it. And that's because I was off social media all throughout 2020.
Wow.
And I'm not really much of a social media guy. Like when I posted that thing on Facebook about business owners that Patience tagged you in, that was my first time promoting the podcast on social media.
Wow.
Like, and when I looked at the last time I'd logged in was January. It was before COVID, before all of that shit was really starting to hit. And then even before then, I took like a 2-year break from social media. And so I'm seeing this sort of shit, and it's just like, it's fucking just, it's really fucking irritating when especially all the people that, so back in high school, I used to be, like I said, I was really into punk. So I was always really questioning the government on everything. And I grew up as the only white family in a predominantly black and Hispanic neighborhood. I mean, 181st and Burnside. Anybody that's been in Portland knows that area. And that was my home. And that was right after they gentrified Northeast Portland and they tore down the villa. So all of those families moved over to where I was. And that's why we lived there. We were a low income family. And so I've been talking about this shit for a long time. Me and Ashley had been talking about this shit. Me and Will Best, me and him, we had been like, we actually tried to get the school to cancel Columbus Day when we were 14 years old. And all the same people were like, dude, don't fucking do that. Don't fucking do that. Are the same people that are posting on Facebook about this shit. They're the same ones that told me just to basically mind my P's and Q's. It's not my problem. And it's like, and that's why I'm glad I've been off. And I'm glad that people learn, and I'm glad that people evolve. But I don't forget that sort of stuff. It's just like, and it's like, and especially when they try to act like high and mighty to me about it. And I'm like, bro, I was talking about this shit like over a decade ago, man. Like so long ago. And you basically told me to go fuck myself. Like, come on, man. You can't just jump on because Facebook tells you it's okay. Like, and it's really difficult to see that shit. And unfortunately, Portland is just full of that stuff. Like, it's just completely full of it. And for those that are outside Portland, it's fucked.
It's really like there's like a beauty and a beast sense. Like there's beauty here when it comes to a lot of things.
There is, and it's like there is. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you good. And the beast aspect of it is just understanding the foundation of the history of Portland and why you see what you see when you go into a neighborhood that's supposed to be a black historic neighborhood and you see no black people.
Exactly.
And now you understand the beast aspect of things. Like things have changed dramatically and drastically.
Yeah, my church I go to is over on 35th and Alberta. Once again, only white family in the entire church. Shout out to Christ Church on 35th Avenue. I love those people. they're like family to me. I've known them since I was 13. And even then I've watched the neighborhood shift. Like even just since 2003, like compared to now. It's crazy, and then they were always talking about how different it was, because I mean that was like 35th and Alberta was like, the fucking like the hardest neighborhood in Portland.
That was it's the heart, man. That's
exactly.
It was the heart of Northeast, and people forget that. Like, I might have not have.
Now there's a
grown
fucking New Seasons 2 blocks away.
Man, oh my goodness, let's not even go down that road. But
I know. Like, I was fucking pissed when I saw that thing getting built. I was just like, and then they have there's like a New Seasons, a Walgreens, and there's a Hot Lips Pizza there now,
right there on the corner. Right there next to one of the man. It's crazy, man.
I know. And we used to do gatherings at the park just up the street. I think it's Alberta Park actually, just up the street off of 35th, or just off Alberta.
What's the elementary school? Woodlawn Park.
Yes. Is it Woodlawn? Yeah, Woodlawn Park. Yeah. And so we used to do gatherings there for the church. We used to have potlucks there and all sorts of stuff. And even just around there, it's like it's totally different.
And it's so crazy, man. It's that whole area has changed. It's so different, man. But I think that also takes into consideration why I do the things that I do and why I switched to. So my business is a nonprofit business. I have my EIN and all that, and I want to focus on the people that look like me and in the community that look like me. And it's crazy because the foundation, I think, of a lot of nonprofits sit in that community, and we lose sense to like Man, like I've always wanted to give back, man. Like I said, I've worked with kids for a while, man. I've done everything from Big Brothers Big Sisters to different camps and all that, man. Like, and coaching, refereeing, and man, like kids have been my heart, man. I worked for a company called SEI, and I worked for them for a few years, and man, giving to the kids there, man, was my heart, man. And I still think about a lot of those kids, and actually a lot of the kids that I started training were from that aspect of things. And so it's tough to see as an adult now, like the sacrifice you have to make and to give up, man, to help kids be better off than you. But I'm willing to make that sacrifice. And I think as an adults, we have to for our kids. Because
exactly.
Our kids are our present. You know, they always say kids are our future. Nah, our kids are our present, man.
Yeah,
and
they are.
The kids around us are our present. And so you have to recognize that, man, and let people know, like, the laws that these kids make now and want to change now are going to help us when we get older.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's, you know, that's why
they're seeing the holes from the generations before,
man.
And it's important for us to raise kids to be objective so you can see those holes, and also to question things and stuff instead of that do as I say, not as I do kind of mentality. Fuck that. No, lead by example. That's what I'm all about.
And that's how I feel too, man. We have to lead, and you know, and I feel strongly about a lot of things that are going on right now, but I feel like it's a broken record at this point.
Yeah.
And like, you know, I don't speak a lot on social issues because I feel like a lot of that shit still, like, nothing changes.
Exactly. You've
know?
been basically saying the same thing for years and years and years, and it's why you know, eventually, like I was saying earlier, like when you're talking about this for years, and at the time people were basically telling you to go fuck yourself, and now they're trying to talk about it, you're like, dude, I don't even want to have this conversation anymore. You're like, you get to a point where you're like, I'm just gonna go and do what I know will fix the problems that I know need to be fixed.
And it gets really exhausting, you know, talking about the same issues and the same thing, especially from state to state and this country as a whole, man. And you know, I like to just kind of push forward and make my business my voice and allow my business to be my voice for, you know, the people I care about and people that I want to see do better. And that's kind of how I am. I always try and give to other people. And it don't matter if I have a little bit, if I have a lot, man, it don't matter, man. Like, if I can give you something.
Yeah, exactly. And it's good for your karma, like me and, you know, me and Patience were talking about, because, you know, like when you're helping people, that positive energy will come back tenfold for you, especially when it's a time where, like, maybe you didn't want to give that positive energy out, or maybe you kind of gave someone the last of what you had, and you're kind of like, you low-key didn't want to do it because you kind of needed that, but whatever, you knew it was the best thing in the situation. And so that's good, man, because me and Shelby were just talking about that earlier. We were saying, like, how it's important that we want to use this podcast, like, as a point to be able to, you know, have like decent conversations about things that need to be talked about in long form, all these different perspectives, and use it for a good thing. Like, I have lots of things that I really want to do for my old neighborhood, like a lot of different things. I actually trained as a firefighter for a while. And and so one of the things I really want to do, I'm waiting for the MORE Act to get passed, because I don't think it's right that firefighters can't use cannabis, because I don't know if you're familiar with the way a firefighter works, but they work 24 on and 48 off. So there's no reason why during those 48 hours that they shouldn't be allowed to smoke a joint or something like that, when it'll have zero effect when they come back to work 2 days later, you know. But I'm waiting for the MORE Act to get passed, so that now that the Democrats take the Senate, so now that'll definitely go through. But anyway, what I really want to do is I want to actually go back to my old neighborhood, and I want to work as a firefighter in my old neighborhood. That's what I really would like to do, because like a lot of my friends fell into the gangs, the drugs, they're in jail, some of them are dead, shit like that. So I want to be on the front lines. I want to be the person that shows up when that person's ODing on the corner. I want to be when that person just got stabbed, when that person just got shot. I'm the person that's showing up to help them fix that wound and help them say, yo, it's okay, man. I'm here for you. You know, and that's where I really want to be. Run the podcast and do that, and volunteer too. I just want to do it volunteer. Like, and that way I can just work shit. Yeah, that's what I really want to do.
That's super dope.
So I want to transition to this, what we were talking about. So you have some cooking and chef experience and stuff like that.
I wouldn't call it a chef, but
okay. So I'm a big cook myself, actually.
Yeah. So, you know, my grandma was a personal chef, and, you know, a lot of my mom's trades come from my grandma, and so for me, I always just sit in the kitchen. I was a curious kid, and so when my grandma was cooking, I would just sit and watch. And I'm a person that like to sit and watch and see how things are done and see how people do things, certain things. And so my grandma used to always be in the kitchen cooking something, and she used to make some of the nastiest things because she grew up during slavery time. So she still had a lot of those traditions on how she made stuff.
Yeah.
But she would make them taste so good.
Yeah.
And there's some things that you cannot replicate to this day. And it'd be some of the nastiest food that you probably would never eat. But it would taste so good.
Yeah.
And so I kind of built my foundation off of her.
Nice.
And then my mom as well. My mom is very experimental in the kitchen. So she's throwing this and trying this with
just
that
trial
and this
and error.
and that. Yeah, and trying and error, man. And she used to make all types of crazy stuff taste good.
Hell
And,
yeah.
you know, growing up, my dad passed away when I was a kid. And so I grew up single parent for the majority of my life.
Same here, actually.
And so my mom had to experiment, make things last and stretch things out. And so that also process taught me how to really cook for myself, because there's some things I'd be like, I'm not eating that. So she'd be like, well, you got to cook for yourself. Okay. And so that began the process of me cooking and me becoming independent for myself on that aspect. But it didn't really forge for me until I got to, I think when I got to college, and I really I was tired of buying food out. I was like, man, I know how to cook, man. Let me go get groceries. And so me and my roommates, they would be like, it was so funny because we would smoke and get high. And for those that know me or don't know me, like, I used to smoke a little bit. And it was mainly with my roommates who really got me into the process of smoking. But I don't partake in it because I know what it does for me. But I would cook. I would cook huge meals. Like, I mean, everything in the refrigerator, cook huge 3-course meals.
Nice.
And in college, like freshman year in college, man, and we'd have people come over and eat, and they'd be like, oh, is he cooking? Oh, yeah, I'm coming.
Hell yeah.
Like,
Nice.
And so it'd be points where they'd be like, man, y'all trying to smoke? And I'd be like, I'm trying to cook. What's up? And so I would just, and then it became a habit for me. And so even when I went to University of Oregon, me and my cousin lived in an apartment, and we'd have people come over, and I would make dinner, man, like full meatloaf, mashed potatoes, and the whole tent, like green beans, like a whole meal for all these people. It'd be like 15, 20 people to come over.
Nice.
And we just have like Sunday dinners and stuff like that.
That's
and so
fucking
my
dope,
cousin was
man.
in a fraternity, and so all his fraternity bros would come over, a whole bunch of ladies would come over, and I'd just be in there cooking fried chicken, whatever. And so it just became kind of fun for me, and it was my piece, and it kind of reminded me of my grandma. So, like, my grandma was a huge inspiration on me, and so when I cook, it kind of brings you back to that point of, like, this is for my grandma.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
That's
and
awesome,
So
man.
that's kind of the foundation of my cooking. I wouldn't say I'm a chef or whatever.
You're a home chef.
I'm a home chef.
Yeah, me too. Me too, man. Like I said, I mean, look at that damn spice rack right there. I mean,
man,
I don't fuck around with that because my dad was a truck driver when I was a kid, so he was only home like once every like 8 weeks or some shit like that, 6 to 8 weeks. And so my mom was working all the fucking time, and then eventually they got divorced. And so I was also a latchkey kid where like I was just home by myself all the fucking time, and I was forced to cook. And you get really good at cooking something out of nothing, you know, especially since we were like a really, really poor family and stuff. But cooking actually is what really, really helped me lose weight, and that's why I'm glad that you're on here too, because we can talk a little bit about fitness, because it's really important to me. Because a few years ago, I actually dropped about 70 pounds.
Wow,
yeah,
that's super
and
dope, man. Congratulations,
thank you, I
man.
appreciate that.
That's
And
the type of stuff that keeps me inspired to be in this aspect.
Exactly.
Of things,
And I love talking about it, and I love inspiring people, because like it's what I did is I changed my whole I wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna go on a diet, I'm gonna go on Weight Watchers, I'm gonna go do this. It was just, I'm gonna change my philosophy on the way I eat. Like, and so instead of looking at calories, instead of looking at the nutrition facts and stuff like that, I looked at ingredients. And that was my number one thing. The less commas I see, the better it probably is for me.
100%.
Like, that's exactly the way it is. And so I just started, like, you know, I mean, I always, like, you know, had cooked, but then when I really wanted to lose weight, I started really getting into it, and just like pretty much like just mostly just meat and vegetables is what I just basically ate all the time. And most of my weight came off from the kitchen alone.
Wow.
And so, I mean, and most of that was that. And I used to drink a lot of really sweet coffees, like, and put a lot of creamer in there. Now I just use like just a little bit of heavy whipping cream, and that has no sugar at all in it. And so it's just, you know, just like a heavy, you know, like lots of protein and fat. And so a lot of my diet now is kind kind of really consisted on more like keto carnivore style. Lots of meat, and lots of greens, not really much else. That's pretty much like mostly like last night I just made like some fucking fat ribeyes with some asparagus that I got, and I got this air fryer for Christmas, and so I've been using the shit out of that. About to make some homemade jerky. But
interesting.
Yeah, and so cooking is a really big thing for me, and it really helped me lose a lot of weight. And for those out there that are trying to lose weight, it's not that fucking hard. I can do it. You can do it. I'm a moron, and I was able to pull it off. And the best thing about it is I started doing it without telling anybody, and so I just kind of like I have this thing like, I tend to act a little bit better if I just shut up about it and just do it, and then I'll just let people just kind of notice it, and then that's the way it was. Like people were noticing that my clothes were a little looser, and they were like, "Are you losing weight?" I'm like, "Actually, I am, and I've been working very hard on it. Thank you so much for noticing." But I was working at Clackamas Town Center at the time, and all of me and my coworkers used to go to Cartlandia over there on 82nd, the food cart place, and they used to get like these dank like burgers and burritos and stuff, and I'm just like crying in the corner with my chicken and broccoli, just like that I get at the little Chinese food place. But that's something I like to talk to a lot of people about how much diet plays into it. So do you have any sort of plans when it comes to your fitness regimens that have diet involved?
It's crazy that you talk about that because I'm the complete opposite. I'm a vegetarian. So
okay.
Yeah, so I've been vegetarian.
I got lots of vegan friends.
So I've been vegetarian for 4 years now, which is crazy. 3 years, 3.5 years, something like that now. And it really, like, I just did it cold turkey. It changed my life. I always used to eat pretty healthy. I was always been a skinny kid, though. I used to do the big time meets and all that. But I was always, I graduated high school 150 pounds, man.
Yeah.
I was a toothpick, and I was about 6 foot. So, like... Man,
when did you graduate again?
2010.
2010. Okay, yeah. So you're just 2 years behind me, actually.
Yeah. So like you could see my rib cage, all that. I was that skinny kid. Yeah. And I used to eat everything. And so as I began to kind of start changing my diet, already eating pretty healthy. Majority of the time I would only eat really chicken and turkey, bacon and stuff like that. And so transitioning to be vegetarian was actually really good for me because I've actually held on to my weight, which is just strange.
Nice. That's cool. Well, hey, that's what works for you, man.
Yeah. And so even when I was competing at the highest level, man, I was still like the most I would get was like 180 pounds. Like I was still a skinny kid.
Yeah.
And so now like I'm like around 190, 192. And
nice.
I'm still vegetarian, man. And
hell yeah.
It's crazy. Like, but I cook I cook majority of the time. And my biggest thing for my clients and for people is, man, you have to be able to take in and put out your inputs. So like however much you take in, you got to be able to, if you want to lose weight, you got to put out more than that. And it's the calories or whatever, man. You can go eat a burger, man. Go eat a burger if you want a burger. Go eat this if you want to eat that. But you have to understand, if your goal is to lose weight, man, you got to burn more than what you put in.
Exactly. It's as easy as calories in, calories out.
And I think one thing that people get lost in is the fact of like, I gotta do this regimen, I do that and do this. Man, like the healthier you eat. So if I'm eating chicken and rice and man, that's not that many calories put in your body. So even a simple walk, you're gonna burn that.
Exactly.
So and that's the process of why people always say eat healthy, because a lot of people don't have activity. But if you're running and working out every day or 3 times a week or whatever the process may be, you're killing a lot of calories in your body.
You're going to give yourself a lot more leeway.
You're going to give yourself a lot more leeway. So I always, like, for example, one of my clients, he was eating like average, and we started working out and training, and I told him I was vegetarian and in my process of that, and he went vegan. And
he just went the full spectrum.
Yeah, he jumped over and just went completely vegan. And I'm like, man, I'm not knocking you. I'm not telling you to do this. But if this is what you want to do, okay, this can help you. He did it for a while. He had lost a whole bunch of weight. Now he's down. We've been working out for a little over a year. He's down 35 pounds. He was 130 something or 230 something, 240. Now he's down to like I think he's like 202 or something like that.
Nice,
and he's like, man, he's like, I'm almost
congratulations,
the
dude.
Man, he's like, I'm almost the skinniest I've ever been since high school. And I'm like, man, and I always like to praise. I don't take the praise, man, because ultimately at the end of the day, like, yes, you might be working out with me. Yes, you might come work out with me. But in the process, I'm not doing
feeding
what you're doing.
Yeah.
I'm not the one that's going through the process of working. I'm not the one who is pushing themselves, and
well,
like,
and
that's you.
Yeah, and they're also knocking what they do in their own time, because
Man.
like it's not like they could easily just go to Carl's Jr. right after you're done working out, and then boom, everything you just did went right out the window.
You know what I'm saying? And so I always like to say, like, people always be like, man, thank you, you do that. Nah, man, it's not thank me. I'm just here.
Yeah.
This is you, your opportunity to continue to work. And I even tell a lot of my sports kids that too. Like,
Well, don't sell yourself short, though, because a lot of people do need someone to show them the way. Like, a lot of people do need someone, you know, like in your position to be like, hey, you know, like, let me show you how to do this, because like they want to do it, but they have no fucking idea where to start.
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
real.
like, like when my girl actually lost a bunch of weight, it was all because of a personal trainer. Like, you know, he kind of was like, really showed her the way to do it and stuff. So don't sell yourself short, man. You are very necessary too.
You know, I'm humble, man. I try and stay humbled in my aspect of things.
That's good.
It's like,
that's
man,
good. You need to be these days.
I don't like to take praise where it doesn't need to be taken. Like, if someone is going to give me astronomical praise, I'll say thank you, and keep it pushing. But at the end of the day, like, I'm not, I did this, I did that, I'm not that type of person, man, because ultimately at the end of the day, like, I always tell my clients, man, you have to change for yourself. Yeah. This has to be your lifestyle. Yeah. I can't be the reason that you change how you do things.
Exactly. Nothing changes if nothing changes. You're going to have to want it yourself.
Man, you have to want it yourself. And at the end of the day, my goals is to get you away from me. If I can,
right.
if I can, man, because I think a lot of trainers want to keep people around them because they give them money.
Yeah, exactly. It's a paycheck.
Man, it's a paycheck.
But you should make it so you don't want to see them anymore.
Man, if I don't see you in 2 years and, okay, I need a few more workouts. Okay, cool. I can give you that. That's my goal, man. Yeah. Like, I want you to make this as your own lifestyle, take it upon yourself, because then you'll be more diligent on yourself to do it.
Yeah, and that's good for you, because like that shows them that, you know, you care more about what they're actually doing and not just trying to pull their money away, you know, like we were talking about that recently, and me and Patience were talking about that, about helping, like, you know, the other person and not being so damn greedy. Yeah, like, man. I love this fucking wave. I'm seeing people like be this way, saying like, no, like, let's just help each other out, you know?
You know what I mean?
And it's really good that you're like that too, because like that should be, you know, like the thing. It's like you want to make it so you don't have to be around anymore. You're like, dude, I'm gonna get you to the point where you can tell me to go fuck myself, and you can just go handle it yourself.
And that to me is
a job well done,
man, because that means I did my job.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, if you are now praising yourself and getting to the point where you're on your goals and doing the things that you need for yourself, man, you're welcome. And that's all I'm here for. Let me help guide you into my knowledge of things, because at the end of the day, like,
you're giving them the map, but they have to start the car.
Man, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And that's how I've always thought of myself, man. Even with kids, man, like, I'll give them options. Like, man, I'll talk about college. I'll talk about not going to college, because college is expensive, man. Yeah. And a lot of kids,
and it's not for everybody too.
And it is not for everybody. And I didn't figure that out until I became an actual student. Yeah. You know, and it's really not for everybody.
Yeah, same here, because we grew up with the pressure of saying that you have to do it, but then you kind of get out and you're like, I don't know if I did, actually. Yep. You're like, and then you're also seeing that most people don't even work in what their degrees were for anyway.
Man, like, I've used my degree because I worked in the social side, like the social aspect of things.
Well, and what you're doing right now, like having a social degree, will help a lot too.
100%.
Like, especially like, and that'll help on your like, oh, I actually have a bachelor's in social science. I have enough, like, you know, credits to be a master's, like, you know, and can easily transfer that. So I mean, that's really beneficial. You're actually using it. But there are some people that are like, you know, it's like, oh, I want to, you know, like, how many friends of ours did we have that wanted to become medical assistants?
Oh man,
like, what was up with medical assisting? Like, whenever we were younger,
don't know.
And now, and there was like, oh, I'm transferred to become a nurse, and now it's like saturated with nurses and stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, I love nurses, and shout out to everyone that became a nurse that wanted to become a nurse, but come on, man, seek your passion. Like, seek your passion. Don't just chase a paycheck, you know? Like, I hate it when I ask someone like, oh, why did you go to school for this? Well, it starts at this many bucks an hour. Boom, you already lost, buddy. Yep. Like, if that's the first thing you're chasing, like, you've already lost me. So one thing I like to ask a bunch of my guests is kind of off subject, but we're going to probably start rounding things down here in a second. So one thing I like to ask all my guests, and since you did used to smoke, tell me about the first time you ever got high.
Oh, Jesus. So that was sophomore, junior year in high school. It was one of my best friends, a girl. Her name is Tiffany, and we actually were just talking about this the other day. It was funny.
Cool.
I went over to her house. It was me, her, one other person. Her mom was there, but her mom smoked heavy at the time, and she smoked because her mom smoked and her brother smoked and stuff. So we sitting all around the table. She's like, man, hit this. And I was like, man, I don't know what the fuck that is. I'm not doing it. And she's like, man, you'll be all right. You can stay here. Smoke, boom. Man, it hit me probably like 4 or 5 hours later, and it just fucked me up. And I wanted to eat her out of house at home. And so she was like, all right, I'll make you something. She made like those Tostitos pizza rolls.
Nice.
And so the thing about me is when I smoke, I get real high, and then I get real hangry or hungry and sleepy, like instantly.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm eating them out the oven. Like, she put them down, and I'm eating them. They're hot. I'm burning my hands, burning my mouth, eating them, fucking them up. And she's like, man, chill out. Like, chill. Like, let them cool down. And so then she's like, all right, I'm going to make some cupcakes later. I was like, all right, cool. Same thing. Came out. I was eating them before she started putting icing on them, eating them, fucking them up. Like, fucking them up. She's like, all right, I need you to calm down. I need you to calm down. And so, you know, I sat on the couch, ended up passing out, woke up, didn't realize my stomach was fucked up.
Oh, yeah.
my stomach was fucked up in the morning.
Oh,
but, like,
God.
the whole experience, I was just like, yep, I'm just going to stay away from this. Yeah, I ended up smoking later on and smoked a few more times after that. It really went downhill for me smoking in college. I smoked kind of a lot.
Just wasn't your thing, though.
But it was never really my thing. And it's like...
It's not for everybody, for sure.
Yeah, like my family and stuff smoke, and I don't mind it. I don't mind being around it, but I'm not going to partake in it just because I know me.
For sure,
and I know how I interact with it. And it's actually, I have a even better story. I was smoking with my brother, man, and my brother still kills me for this story every day. It was him and his girlfriend, and we're smoking in her car, and he did it all nice, did the blunt nice, put the honey in there, make it go.
Sorry, I forgot to ask. The first time you got high, what did you smoke out of? Was it a
bong?
A bong? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. I always like to ask people that, but go ahead. You were smoking the blunt?
I was smoking the blunt, and he put the honey in there, made it all extra slow. We smoking. We couldn't even see it in the car, man. It was. Oh my God, it was crazy. So we were supposed to go to the store, and I was like, man, I'll drive, man. You know what? I'm good. I'll drive. And I get in the car, we driving. Probably about 5 minutes into the drive, boom, hit a pothole, boom, my tires popped, man. So I didn't even realize I'm high. I'm talking about my car. This is my car. I bought it, this and that, and bragging. And my brother's like, man, you don't hear that? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And somebody next to me is waving, like pointing at my tire. I'm like, man, your tire flat. And I was like, oh shit. So I pull off into a parking lot, and I grab all my stuff to fix my tire. In there trying to fix my tire. My brother's like, man, get the fuck out the way. So he just pushed me out the way, and he fixed the tire, get back in the car. I'm like, all right, I'm driving. So drive to this spot where we're going. And so we get into the store, walking around the store, and this is the first time I've been in the stores high, and so I got super paranoid and like absolutely paranoid.
Oh shit.
And I'm walking around the store with them, and before we get into the store, my brother's like, I go to the bathroom. I was like, all right, cool. He went to the bathroom. And so I'm walking with his girlfriend, and next thing you know, I turn around, she gone. And I'm like, yo, where the fuck she go? Like, hold up. Like, where'd y'all go? So I'm walking around looking at shoes and stuff and looking at clothes, and next thing you know, I see security following me around the store. and so then I really get paranoid. I'm like looking, like, where the fuck they go? Like, hold up. Like, I'm tripping. Like, now I'm tripping. So I sit down for a second, looking at shoes. Security walk by. I know there's security because you know security.
Exactly. Yeah.
And walk by me, and I'm like, all right. So I put the shoes back. I get up and I leave. They walk with me all the way to my car. Yeah, walk with me all the way to my car. So I'm sitting in my car, and time goes super slow when you hot. Well, it feels like it goes super fast, but it actually is going slower than what you think. Whatever. The time is just imaginary.
Yeah.
And so I'm in my car. It feels like I'm in my car for an hour. I'm calling my brother on my phone. Man, where are you? His phone is in the car. So I'm like, I can't even go back in the store because I'm paranoid that they're going to be following me again. So I'm like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm going to leave. Pull off and leave. Go home. So hold up. This story's not over. The story's not over. So I leave, go home. I'm like, wait, where's my brother? Oh shit! So then I go back to the store. I'm sitting in the parking lot waiting.
Something's missing here.
Yeah, bro, like for real, messed up. So
that's amazing.
And so I'm sitting in the parking lot, and I'm like waiting for my brother. Like, where's my brother at, man? Like, did they leave me? Like, what the hell did it? So I go back home. So my mom calls me. She goes, did you leave Irvin at the store? And I was like, yeah. I thought he left me. She goes, are you serious? She's like, my mom's pissed. She gets home. I'm still sitting on the couch. She gets home. She goes, you didn't pick this motherfucker up? So I was like, no. She goes, you know what? Sit there. She got up and went and got him and came back. My brother's like, you don't ever need to be smoking. Don't ever smoke again. Don't ever. And I was like, oh my God. Oh,
you don't have to tell me twice.
You ain't gonna tell me twice.
And that's fucking awesome.
He still clowns me for that story every day, man.
And for good reason. It's a great story.
Oh my God, man, it's so funny. But those are just the little experiences of why I know when I can and I can't, and that's why, man. Like, I don't really I don't mind. It's not me. I don't mind if people do that around me. I don't mind if you do that, whatever. That's not my thing. Man.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, man, and it's people choose what they choose.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, dude, it was fucking awesome having you on here, bro. I'm super glad. Where can people find you on Instagram?
So actually, you can find me at Chef Boyard Dixon.
That's Chef Boyard Dixon?
Yeah, so Chef Boyard Dixon.
One of the best Instagram handles I've ever heard in my
Chef
life.
Boyard
Congratulations
Dixon.
on that.
Yeah, and again, it started with the cooking aspect of things, man, because I used to cook and stuff all the time, man. I've only had my Instagram for a few years, but...
Very clever. I like puns like that. That's like, I'm a dad, so dad jokes are my shit, man.
Yeah, and so
awesome.
it's Dixon, that's DICKSON, and then I also started a podcast as well, which we've touched briefly on, and it's food and culture. And
what's the name of the podcast?
It's called Brace Yourself Oregon. That'll be coming out soon. And
is it on all the platforms?
It will be on all the platforms, be on the radio as well, and that is Brace Yourself Oregon on Instagram as well.
Shit, yeah.
If you want to find me with my fitness side of things, I do have an Instagram for that. It's kind of up and coming, but I also have a website. It's Dickson Dynasty R Center, R like Toys R Us, R Center.
Okay.
.org. I have that as well. But you can also just reach out through my Instagram handle and link up with me too that way. So, man, this show's been a blessing, man.
Dude, thank you for coming on, bro.
Man,
this was a lot of fucking fun. We got a little carried away. Like, actually, we've been breaking over an hour, man. So this was a nice, long episode, man.
Yeah, man.
Dude, thank you so much for coming through.
And I mean, I bless on what you do, man. It's been a
Thank
great
you.
opportunity, man. And I love the connection that's made, man, because I think we don't get the opportunity to speak a lot. And I think sometimes cross culture, we get a misunderstanding of what it could be. And I think,
and this was fun as shit, man.
Yeah,
this was fun as shit.
It was super fun.
This was a lot of fun. I'm glad you were. I know you were a little nervous at first. I'm glad you were nice and comfortable, bro. You're fucking natural on camera and everything like that. So
I wish I could say the same thing on the inside. But,
Well, you're doing great, man.
Thank you,
everybody, for tuning into the Hippie Speedball podcast. My name is Joe. This is the fresh hoodie that you can actually get from the link down below. Not so on the nose. Coffee plus weed equals happiness. That's the basis of the Hippie Speedball podcast. Thank you for everybody tuning in, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace.